I teach people how to invest in self-storage. I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, but I'm really like the pitch person is what I am. I'm pitching. It's all I'm doing is like pitching to investors all the time. And I started doing, and the reason I did this is because when I started in real estate, 12 years ago in 2010, 2011, luckily I had a coach that told me, he said, you have to learn how to raise money. Actually, what happened was I hired a consultant. And this is the truth. So I was doing I was rehabbing homes for the first 5 years. I rehabbed homes, and I was doing really well. I had done in 1 year 14 rehabs or something, so I was doing pretty good. But I wanted to take it to the next level, so I hired a coach. And he sat me down and he said, Stacy, he said, okay, tell me exactly what you, this is our first session. He's like, Stacy, tell me exactly what do you do? And I was like, I'm a flipper. I flip homes. And he was like, no, you're not a flipper. And I was like, I renovate homes. I do residential redevelopment. And he was like, no, you don't do residential redevelopment. And I was like, I'm a contractor. And he was like, no, you're not a contractor, Stacy. I was like, well, fine, tell me, what am I? I don't know, what am I? And he's like, if I tell you this, Stacy, you have to take this to heart. You have to implement and execute what I tell you. And I was like, if I tell you what you are and what your job is, will you implement this and execute this? And I was like, tell me, just tell me. Yes, I'll do it. And he's like, you are a fundraiser. That's it. Your job is to raise money. If you want to take it to the goals that you had written right here, all these goals, if you want to take it to the next level, then you have to realize that you are a fundraiser. That's it. You're a fundraiser. And if you don't do that, then you are never going to achieve the goals that you want. And so when he told me that, it just really I was just like, oh my gosh, he's right. And then I started going back and I started everything that I did, everything. And you guys all know because y'all follow me. Everything that I've done for the last 10 years, because that was literally 10 years ago, is all about raising money. All right. And 10 years ago, I had no idea that I was going to get into self-storage. We did 100 homes in 5 years and I raised enough money to do that. And then I got into storage and I had no idea I was going to get into storage. And then, and I took those, the last 5 years, 6 years that we've been doing this, I just pitch and pitch and pitch. I'm talking to investors. I talk to at least 3 to 5 investors every day, right? And obviously it takes me. I've been doing this 10 years, so it takes time. But it started actually. My very first pitch was to my neighbor. So I was walking my dog. So I used to live on 10 acres, and I was walking my dog, and we had two trails. I don't live there anymore, but we had 2 trails. It was the short trail and the long trail. The short trail was kind of around our property. And then the long trail kind of went into our neighbor's property, because the way it was there was 3 10-acre lots. And then I had one neighbor over here and one neighbor over here. And we all befriended each other and became family and stuff. We would just walk in between each other's properties and stuff. And so I was walking over on my neighbor's property, and he was out working the land and doing his thing or whatever. And he saw me. He's like, hey. I walked over and he was like, what are you doing? And I had just came back from the coaching session. I just came back from, learning how to raise money and do stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, I just came back from this coaching session. And and basically I'm learning how to raise money so that I can, go out and do flips and do more flips and stuff. And do more flips. And he was like, He's like, wow. He's like, that's interesting. He's like, tell me more about it. So I started going off and telling him about it and everything and all I learned. And he was just like, I'm really interested in that. I'm like, really? And she's like, I'd be interested in maybe working together with you. And I was like I really was just like talking about what I was doing, and stuff. And that was my very first pitch. He's like, why don't we sit down and we discuss it? So I came back and I did like a little presentation on my computer and I sat down and I went over everything. He was so nice and he just listened to me. And that was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. And he has been lending with me ever since. He started out with $200,000. And now he gives me $2 million. And over the course of 10 years, he's made $1 million off of me. He started out with the rehabs and he moved over to the storage facilities. And that's from my neighbor that I was just like walking my dogs and talking to him about it. Okay. So, and, so if I can do it, so if I can do that, if I can just go out and talk to people about what I'm doing, especially, I'm going to tell you all, especially storage, because everybody wants to get into, if you're in real estate, like you want to get into storage. Okay. So what I do, and what you should be doing is using that to your advantage. So if you're the person here and you're like, I want to get into storage and I either have money and I can go out and do it on my own because I've got money. I don't need to get out there and pitch right now. I don't need to because I've got the money. Or I don't have the money and I, either going to wholesale or I need to find somebody that has money. No matter what, you should always be talking about storage. Because everybody, I'm telling you, everybody wants to get into storage somehow right now. I'm very blessed to be in this industry and have already been in this industry for 5-6 years. And I'm actually a newbie. I mean, there's people that have been doing it for a while and they're doing way better than I am. And so I want you guys to use this to your advantage, is that, hey, I'm thinking, like, when you're talking to anybody, it's like, hey, I'm like looking into storage. I'm really looking into storage and I'm learning how to find deals. I'm learning how to fund them. I'm learning how to run and manage storage.